Hey guys, Peter here to tell you about the latest from Lucifer, Lucifer 5, out January 26 on Nuclear Blast. The album has 9 tracks, 40 minutes in length, and this is the band's 5th full-length studio album. They are a German-Swedish heavy metal band. When you look at the design of this record, I don't think you see an overly complicated album. The design is very simplified. It tries to create the best pathway possible from first to last song in order to create an engaging and entertaining experience for the listener. You want to be on the edge of your seat looking forward to what the next song is going to bring, and when you get to the end of the record, you want to feel like you got enough, but barely enough, so that you can go back to the beginning and experience this journey all over again. And that's exactly the quality of the album. You get the most out of the individual songs while giving a lot of quality to the overall collective. The design, the simplicity of the design, and the way these songs offer you a unique experience while connecting to the experience that comes after, it's definitely the perfect guideline. It's the perfect blueprint for a record that has great playability all around. When you look at the sound of this album, I think the first thing you're going to notice is that this record doesn't break the line, the pathway that we've seen created across the previous 4 albums. It still has that old school approach, that old school sound, and definitely that old school production. Very 70s driven. That didn't change across any of the records. This album continues that, and I think that's part of the DNA of the band now, is part of who they are as Lucifer, and I don't think you want to change that. That would be too much of an abrupt break between what the band has been across 4 records going into the 5th album and perhaps even going forward. So they definitely kept that as their baseline of creativity in terms of how the album was going to sound like. I think where the changes come in is a little bit more on not just the songwriting, but how can we create tracks that are within that umbrella, that are within that signature sound experience, but don't necessarily feel repetitive or sound like one another. How diverse can we be in our songwriting without necessarily straying too far away from our path? And that's what this album finds its major strength. This is a record that when you're listening to it, you can place it in time. It almost feels like it got transported from the past into the present. But you also see all the different nuances and all the different influences that were major players and major playing points as far as bands of that era, where this band finds its stride and where this band goes and looks for, like I said, its influences. So this record offers a much wider range of emotions, a much wider range of atmospheres, while still being a very dark record all around, and while keeping that old school production sound and experience behind it. One of the main pillars of this overall sound and sonic experience are the guitars. The guitars on this record, as in previous records, are really outstanding. They play with such warmth, with such design, with such drive, great execution. I like the sound behind them. They're definitely that first element that you feel that connects this band to that 70s era of music, of heavy metal, of hard rock, and the way they come across, they have this organic vibe to them. They feel very live. They feel like you're listening to a live record, even though it's recorded in the studio. Something that I noticed a little bit different on the guitar sound from previous records into this album is that while the guitars still feel pretty thick, they still have some slight fuzz around the corners. They felt a little bit more focused. They felt a little bit more explosive at times. They felt like they were more work. There was more work put into the guitar sound, put it into the output of that guitar sound, and the impact that that guitar sound has in the mood and atmosphere of the tracks, also helping define the level of darkness that exists within the songs. Not counting just on the lyrical content and on the vocal delivery to do that, but also using the melodies, the riffs, some changes in the warmth of the sound in order to better emphasize those different shades of darkness that this record puts forward. When it comes into the vocals, this album is super strong. Joanna is an outstanding vocalist. I honestly feel like this band gets the best out of her, and she's able to get the best from what's around her as well. I think it's a little bit of one scratching the other one's back and vice versa. But her voice on this record adds to that overall warmth of sound, and like I said earlier, the mood, the levels of darkness that this record has is not just encapsulated in the lyrics, but rather in how she delivers those lyrics. She's a great storyteller. She has a very incredible way of captivating the audience, captivating the listeners with the lyrical content, with a little bit of the occult that she brings in, not just, once again, in the words, but how she delivers those words. And I think in the album like this, for a band that's all about the subtleties, that nothing is abrupt, nothing is drastic, nothing is jolting, those nuances become the trigger points within songs and from song to song that allows you to see those ebbs and flows, that allows you to see the growth of the band in the movement within the album. Definitely their most mature, complete record to date. I've always enjoyed their sound, I've always enjoyed their albums, but this is one of those records that any song on this album has the ability to stand on its own while adding quality to the collective. There's no skippable tracks. Every track offers something unique, something different, but still so close together to what came around it. And that is the biggest strength that this album has. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Fallen Angel. This is the opening track of the album, and it has a great chugging riff offering this very thick and very dark at the same time experience. Definitely allows that to linger throughout the song. The chorus opens up a bit more, not just vocally but also musically, allows the song to breathe a little bit better because it feels very claustrophobic in the verses. It feels very restrained, it feels very contained. So once you get into that chorus and the song is able to breathe and you're able to breathe and you're able to see the song open up a little bit more, it allows for ebbs and flows to exist within the track, for emotions to change within the track, but in a very subtle way. The solo section that follows the second chorus is really good. It adds texture, it extends the song, it continues off of the vibe that the track is giving you up until that point. It doesn't break from it, it doesn't separate itself from it, it just becomes a more introspective continuation of where the song was up until that time. Great riffing track all around. Next we have Riding Reaper, a track that doesn't sound or perhaps feel as dark as Fallen Angel. It has a little bit more movement, it has a little bit of a different movement, I should say. It's a warm song, still a very warm track, and it's very warm not just from the guitar sound, but also the way the drums and bass come together with the guitar sound to create a little bit more of a blended experience between all of those three elements. And then when you look at the backing vocals that they used on this track, that adds also warmth to the overall vocal performance, but it also adds depth and texture, which brings quality to the track. The chorus is super catchy, super hooky, both musically and vocally, without being overly repetitive, without necessarily being constantly in your face. The chorus has the ability to come in and allow you to really connect with it, and that becomes the calling card of the entire song, is what brings you back to the track, and then it's what allows you to kind of dissect the track a little bit better, because that chorus really stays with you. It's really memorable musically and vocally. Now the solo section on this track is outstanding. It's over the top, it's explosive, it's everything that the solo section is not in Fallen Angel. In Fallen Angel, like I said, it's more of a continuation of where the song is going, and this one here is a little bit of a moment for you to take a step back and see how much bigger the track can get, how much wider the song can become, how much brighter the track can be. It just adds a lot of vibrant movement into the overall song, into the overall experience of this track. Last but definitely not least, The Dead Don't Speak. Definitely a doomier song. This is definitely a track that has that doomy vibe. It has that dark glow to it. Every track on this album has it. It all comes down to how dark that glow is. But this track has definitely a little bit more of a melancholic experience, which adds to that doomy experience that is really noticeable, not just from a soundscape point of view, but also how the vocals come across. The vocals move a lot within this track. For a track that sonically does not move that much, that feels very stuck because of that doomy experience, because of that melancholy experience, the vocals do all the movement within this song. The vocals have great energy built in within. The changes in delivery, the changes in the tone really allow you to see different levels, and it's almost like Tetris. You're adding pieces and then pieces go away and then you're adding pieces. It has this great way of building itself up, tearing itself down, building itself up. It's a great track that the vocals do, I would say, the majority of the heavy lifting in order for the essence of the song, in order for that melancholy, that doomier nature to really come to life and not be just represented either by the lyrical content or by the sound behind it. This is it, Lucifer with Lucifer 5. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Hit me up in the comment section. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.